Welcome to episode 78 of the Brew Crew Scoop. Long hiatus for the holidays over. Hope everyone had a nice holiday season. It's January 23rd. Not a lot happened since the last time we talked, up until a couple days ago when the Brewers traded Freddy Peralta to the New York Mets for young 20-year-old infield outfielder Jett and right-handed pitcher Brandon Sproat. I don't know, is 24, 25? He went to college for
I
sure
think
for
he's
3 years.
25, and I think Jett might be 21 now. I think,
Okay.
but same difference. 22.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gotten
Um,
older. Every year he gets a year older, so I get it.
mm,
He was at one point 20 though.
correct. Yeah. Um, Not a big surprise. We talked the last time we talked a long time ago. If I can remind you guys, we talked about what Woody's opting into the qualifying offer meant for Freddy Peralta, and it seemed like that was kind of the sealing of his fate. So,
Coach Keane, come on. Give us the emotions.
I mean, I kind of gave my emotion in my one tweet about it. It's just like how many times do we get to go through the off season and just go, "Yep, it makes so much sense not only to trade that guy, but it's 100% guaranteed that it's going to happen." I I was always in the boat, obviously, of not wanting to trade him, but it's just who we are. It made too much sense to not keep him around. It sucks, and obviously it's a business, and they don't think like a fan, like, "Ooh, let's keep this guy around because we like him." It's like, oh, we can get, our max value this offseason rather than let him walk for or get into a bidding war that we'd never win, even if we did want to keep him. Um, people probably regret to understand that there was probably conversations between Freddie's agent and the Brewers, and they probably couldn't come to a number that the Brewers wanted to keep him at. And so that's part of the reason too. It's not just the Brewers being like, "Oh, yep, not even going to try." I'm sure they had those conversations, and it didn't come to a conclusion. So this is what had to happen. And I honestly, I like the guys that we got. I mean, that Sproat and Williams are both major league ready guys. I mean, Williams might need a little bit of sprinkling of AAA, but he made it there last year. He played well. He his swing reminds me so much. A lot of people said Altuve, but I think he has a little bit of Bregman in him too. It's just that short guy, pull the ball all the time, swing, which is nice. And I don't know if we were talking about this a long time ago, but to be successful and hit home runs these days, you just have to have a high pull rate in the air. And I think I saw somebody's posted it was like an 88th percentile, which is really good for pull percentage in the air. So I think that'll play. I think we'll see a lot of homers into the left field bleachers from him, hopefully for many years to come. And don't forget that you get these guys for the Brewers model for 5 years each until obviously you are going to have to trade them if they're good enough. So basically 10 years of play over one from Freddie Peralta. It just made a lot of sense, and I like the guy that we got back. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think obviously the by far the main loss here is Fred, but Tobias Myers too obviously was a flash in the pan and his rookie season and performed above what anyone would believe, except maybe uh, Javik. He was high on Tobias going into that year, but and honestly, last year he had his ups and downs, and we even did send him down, but he still performed pretty well in the big league club overall. And I mean, he is a major league pitcher. It's just the upside on Sproat's obviously a lot higher, and Tobias's clock is already ticking further along the road than both these guys. So I just wanted to, I guess, mention his name, but to talk about the I don't want to say more important part, but the bigger part, definitely in Brewers history, is Freddie gone, and I think any chance he had of staying, especially going into last year, was gone after how well he did perform. It was by far the best year of his career, by I guess pick your metric for the most part. Um, I mean, if you look at like his Savant page, he's got or not Savant, BREF, he's got 14.3 career WAR. What do you think last season was for his WAR? Unless you guys know, if you looked.
I'm looking
4.3.
at it.
Oh, Scoop's looking at 5.5. So over a third of his career WAR came last year. So yeah, it obviously we were beneficiaries of that, but I think that also probably helped price him out of the market that he was already probably getting priced out of. Um, but yeah, it made too much sense, like you said, Kean. You had to cash in when it was there. Love Freddie. Also, he's a guy that you feel like you'll get 5 innings out of, and that's pretty much all you can count on. Maybe one extra, and maybe that one extra is when he gives up a solo shot or worse, and it hurts. But he was awesome last year. One of the best pitchers in Brewers history, at least like his career here, obviously. We've had great pitchers roll through for a year or two and so on, but for what he did in the Brewers uniform is honestly one of the best we've ever had. So sucks, and it's just the way we operate. And the return we got, in my opinion, even at the time, and obviously now looking back, it's a lot easier to say this, but better than the Corbin return. Both these guys, depending on where you look, are still currently top 100 prospects, and both from pretty much every um, prospect ranking system have been top 100 guys. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about them as we go through the pod, but don't want to, I guess, draw away from Freddie too quick and want to give him his flowers. So,
Yeah,
Scoop.
one of the best one of the best pitchers in franchise history, like you said. And like you pointed out as well, though, last year career high in innings, 176 innings. He had the last 5 years had been pretty much healthy, and four of those five at least, and really solid years, but still nowhere really near 200 innings. Not that 200 innings is all that common anymore, but it's a good benchmark for how long true aces are going into games, and that was the one knock on him if you had any. Um, Obviously, the 270 ERA last year, you'd imagine that regresses a little bit back towards the mean, with the 359 ERA over his career.
Yeah, sorry, just to jump in, his FIP last year was like his fourth best of his career, I think. So it's not like some of the peripherals looked that much better, but that's okay. He produced at that level for us. It's just I do agree. There's a pretty good chance there's some regression there.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's not something you can say about all your teams always, but you trust what the Brewers are doing. It it, it kind of sucked at first when they traded Josh Hader. I know it's kind of a joke now, but that was kind of a bummer. But now, as things go on, if they go out and get a William Contreras, or they turn a year of Corbin Burns into, I mean, you can say what you want about those two last year, but turn it into two guys who have years of control and have shown some flashes of upside, and now two top five prospects in a decent Mets farm system, at least the top end too. So top 100 guys, one of which being a top 30 MLB prospect. Also, some models have the Brewers as the best farm system in baseball now too. So obviously we got manhandled in the NLCS, no doubt about it. But we did have the best regular season record last year, and now on top of that, with almost the same group, obviously losing your ace is big, but almost the same group, looking at the best farm system coming off the best record in baseball. So got to get it done in the playoffs, and obviously the Dodgers are still better on paper, but um, you feel good about where the organization is at.
I was gonna say after you kind of said like you've come to expect it, and some every once in a while you still get the talking heads on social media that somehow are freaking out about trading for two prospects for a proven team legend, blah blah blah. No, not pointing any fingers, but some people were freaking out that we're doing it again, blah blah blah. And I was like, there's no way at this point that Brewers fans are still thinking like this. And I think obviously Brewers fans that are like wired into Brewers Twitter and answering and keeping track of all these profiles are probably more informed than the average fan. But that poll you posted, what was it like? Basically
Yeah,
90%.
88 or
Yeah,
89% said that they were on the pro the deal side, even
like it
though,
sucks, but it's
yeah.
what should be done, honestly, at this point. And that's reassuring, I think, because like from some of the stuff you see on social media, I'm like, are people really that mad about it? Like, it seems like a
And
pretty good haul for them.
as long as we're on the topic too, uh, I'm done fighting it on Twitter, but the whole like the Dodgers aren't ruining baseball, the Brewers are because they do this. The Dodgers aren't ruining baseball, the Brewers aren't ruining baseball. the only teams that you could point the finger at are the teams that spend 40 million a year. You could point the finger at them if you want to point it at a team, but it's the model of the of the payroll. And I know you guys agree with me, but just saw a lot of a discourse on this is the team ruining baseball. They're the best record in baseball. And now they're selling. Like if you think they're selling, you obviously have been paying attention to baseball. Um, I mean, obviously Travis Wilson is, but some of like sleeper Dodgers. I don't I don't know.
Yeah. There's no shortage of dumb takes on the internet. That is one thing that the Brew Crew Scoop platform has shown me. And
Yeah,
Brewers fans are included. It's not just your Cubs and Dodgers fans out there that have some dumb ones. There's a handful of
I
dumb Brewers fans.
I just love when I see a Dodgers page be like, just pay them. And I'm like, tell me you're spoiled. They're like, oh wow. The Brewers like, oh, I didn't think of that. We could have just given him 300 million. Damn. Like,
I guess to give some emotion back to, I guarantee you there's people that aren't as informed as us and probably are as informed as Peter Bukowski and Travis Wilson of the world, who are just casual fans who love
Yeah,
to
not to
tweet
say
out
any names, like I
their
said.
feelings.
yeah.
But, people have it sucks if you're a casual fan and like I said, you finally get this guy who's been here for a long time, has been here for since 2018 Mother's Day up until now, and he's one of the most recognizable guys. And then now, poof, he's gone. Like I have some of my best friends. When that news broke, we were on a call, and they were just like, "I'm done with this team. Like he's the most recognizable Brewer, and I'm not giving any more." I'm like, "Well, okay, Yelich is here, Churrio's going to be here." Like they just don't think it's all reactionary stuff, but. It does suck to watch one of the more recognizable faces have to walk out the door because obviously we don't have the money to pay him, or it just doesn't look like a good business model to pay him, and that sucks. And I feel bad for you know I do feel bad because it sucks that we can't be the Dodgers and keep Clayton Kershaw around forever, and all the I guess they don't really have that many legends on their squad right now that's been there forever. They don't develop a lot of guys, but um, Will Smith is, I guess, their next guy. But if we did have a lot of money, we would re-sign our guys, the Corbin Burns of the world, I bet. The guys that we did develop, and that sucks, but they
Yeah,
don't understand.
it does suck. And I totally agree with that. I love Freddy Peralta. Um, but like I just can't stress enough how much you just have to trust the Brewers to do so much with so little because like on the flip side of that, all the talks about Giannis leaving the Bucks, like that sounds like the end of the world because you don't trust the Bucks. Like, but you trust the Brewers to their star players, let them walk year after year. Obviously, not everyone, but when it makes sense, you trust them to replenish. It's a completely different world. So, yeah, to anyone saying like, why did they just pay him? Well, that's not the best course of action for this franchise. Like, sorry, like obviously paying Giannis is the best course of action for the Bucks, but paying Freddy Peralta 30 million a year is not the best course of action for the Milwaukee Brewers, and you just have to trust them. So,
Let me go
um,
on a little small thing to just kind of cap that off. Is that the Brewers operate how they are because of obviously the market we're in. We can literally see what it would look like if the Brewers Brain Trust had the amount of money that the Dodgers or the Mets do because our old president of baseball operations is now with the Mets. And I'm curious to see if like obviously he took his model there and it probably took a lot of um, behind the scenes people with him when he went there. If it works there, I mean, when you have a ton of money, it just changes the way you operate, no matter if you say it doesn't or it does. These big swings on these big contracts or the Luis Robert trade, who knows if that's going to work out? They didn't really give up that much, but you could take on 20 million and he could still have a 688 OPS. Like
But that's an upgrade for them. That's
it's
the
true.
thing. Is
It's
he's
just
playing with
weird.
house money.
It's not like David Stearns went over there, had all this money, and within 2 years they've won three World Series, or we've still gone further than them. I would
you
still
could
give it some time, but we're literally watching it unfoil in front of us how it would be if the Brewers, because it's not Mark Antanasio putting the show on, it's the people in the front office. So curious to see how the Mets look in a couple years.
you can almost make a small argument that like even if you have money, maybe trading a guy for two guys for six
Exactly. That's what I was
years
gonna say.
is like it's not. even if you're the richest team in baseball, you could be like, all right, fuck it, we'll trade our ace for 1 year and get let's say they're if it's actually like whatever Tarek Skubal. Not saying the Tigers are, but if Tarek Skubal was on the freaking Dodgers and he had 1 year left, and oh, we can go get two top 20 prospects in baseball right now, or three top 20 whatever. You're telling me that's not still a good idea? Like, yeah, it's I don't know. You guys know where I'm coming from,
But
but
that's what I'm saying. If you have that amount of money, your owner for one, who is willing to spend that money, is going to tell you you need to resign this guy no matter how much it costs, even if it is not that great of an idea. Like that's what
well,
I'm saying.
and
I'm
when do
curious to
rich
see
teams?
if it works.
Yeah, when do rich teams stop acting like rich teams? I don't know. It seems like no one's found the happy medium. Like the Dodgers, what like to your point, it seems like Stearns has kind of flipped the switch in New York just because he has more money now. Like why does he have why do big markets have to act like big market teams? Why do they all of a sudden have to be like, okay, now we are like why did David Stearns go get Freddie Peralta, honestly? Like if I
Their
mean obviously that's
rotation.
a theoretical question, but like
I
why
think.
does he all of a sudden operate that like what's the
I
point of
mean,
hiring a David Stearns if you're just gonna make him operate like a big market team? I
yeah,
don't
but
know.
you can have a little bit of
Exactly.
both, and I think they're operating a little smarter. Like even the Bichette deal, it's not
Yeah,
one of
for
the
sure.
10-year deals. It's a their owner has money he literally doesn't care about, so they can afford to overpay for a year of a plus bat at least. I don't know. I think he's done a good job this winter, but I don't know. I think if you're in a big market and don't operate kind of like a big market, your fans will always
Sure.
just see the Cubs, see the Red Sox, so on and so forth. So I don't know. I saw some extra Antanasio heat after this last one. Everyone wants obviously anytime you trade a big name because we didn't re-sign him, you're gonna get it. But I don't know. Like our payroll is about where it should be, or even above relative to our market size. And as much as people joke about like fun summers, he's continually put a good team out for the city and made really good decisions with his last two GMs. Um, I don't know. I don't really think we're ever going to get a better owner than Antanasio, to be honest with you, unless it's like Scoop. Unless Scoop wins the lottery and decides he wants to give
That's
all
right.
of the money to the Brewers, you're not going to get like he's willing to do enough for the team to keep them very competitive. Invested enough in the city, stayed here. Like I don't know. I think people, the grass isn't always greener.
It's just, I agree with you. It's just funny to me when it's like, oh, David Stearns is like this genius at turning nothing into something, and then it's like, let's go grab him, and then, but now let's just have him operate like our last GM. I don't know. You guys get what I mean. I'm not saying the Mets are doing anything wrong, and but it's just funny to me, like to hand pick a guy like that's the guy we want, and then like not letting him moneyball his way to the way he, I don't know, whatever. But also, the other thing, back to the point about trading players in the last year of control, anyways, for rich teams, everyone should start to think about that. Honestly, it's like the one minor small silver lining to being poor is like I've kind of joked about it before, but I'm kind of serious. Like Brewers don't have to pay the back end of
Christian
10
Yelich,
year.
Ryan
Well,
Braun.
yeah, now Yelich, but that was like, I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
who would have thought the second he signed that deal
Yeah,
that
but
it was
a lot of
gonna
those teams can actually afford to do it as long as
for
they're not run
sure.
by idiots.
For sure, I agree, but it's just like it's almost kind of a silver lining to I don't know. And but now you're seeing teams like the Dodgers saying fuck the
Yeah, they
back
just
end
don't
of these
care.
deals. They're like, all right, whatever. Do you want 60 million this year and next year and for the next 2 years and then just like back to free agency? I don't or retirement. I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. It's
Yeah, I mean,
weird.
to quick talk about some of the other stuff in the league because that sounds kind of like I guess where we're going, but just the amount of money that the Dodgers are paying for Tucker next year is insane. It's the 60s, the average annual value, but then you add on the tax for it, which is over 100%, and they're literally paying over $100 million to roster Kyle Tucker next
Hmm.
year. That is awesome. It's not at
Yeah.
all, but like that's crazy. So if one day we're able to take down Goliath next year, that'll be quite the narrative for little old Milwaukee to preach.
Does anybody want to guess what? And I'm not
69.
saying he's bad by any means, but
Oh.
what Kyle Tucker's career OPS is?
I'm gonna go with 838.
Yeah, I was gonna go in like the mid low eights. I'll go
Yeah,
820.
865. So
Oh, so it's
higher than
better
even
now.
you guys thought.
He's a good defender too, though.
No,
And
he is for sure.
I,
It's
if I was the
it's
Dodgers, I would have done that. I mean, they
well,
can.
yeah, but $100 million for, like you're saying, a year. It's not
Yeah,
even
but they
like
don't
you're
give a
paying.
fuck.
No,
You
that's
ever play
my point.
Monopoly?
That's
Monopoly
yeah,
money, brother.
yeah. It's just funny, like
And again, but here you were just talking about having to pay out the back end of some stupid contract. They said, "Fuck it."
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. I was just curious, like
If I got a question for both of you guys, just while we're talking some of the other league deals. If you're the Cubs, are you happy that you got Bregman on that 5-year deal instead of Tucker? I'd say you still prefer Tucker just because of his age. Bregman's a little older, but I mean they're similar players, not the same, but similar in what they're going to provide you in a WAR stance, anyways.
That's tough. I don't know.
No, yeah,
It's a
it's a good
tough
problem to
one.
have. It's a good problem
Well,
to have.
if you ask a Cubs fan, they'd tell you straight up that they fucking hated Tucker the whole
Yeah,
time,
because of
and
the
Bregman's
no,
the
they'll tell
man.
you they hate him because of the last 2 months, which is fair
Yeah,
because he was god awful, but he was
yeah,
kind
but he
of
was
banged up.
hurt.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
know. I honestly Tucker. I guess it depends on what you need. I mean,
yeah.
Bregman's a third baseman, and Tucker can play the outfield and maybe transition to first, but he's only going to be there for 4 years. I mean, it's a toss up in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's similar. I just was curious. Top end, what those players can give you, Tucker's the better player, but floor, leadership, needs, I think it probably nets out just about even.
Well, and like to your leadership point, how much you guys buy into
I don't get that.
the whole like is Tucker doesn't like baseball guy? I don't know. That seems like a narrative they try to push on baseball is dead. Uh, like about him being almost not to this extent, but kind of like Rendon type.
The thing
But
is, I don't see it, but I'm guessing they don't talk about it without hearing it
sure.
somewhere under the, I don't know. But at least he didn't like make a total sellout move. He went somewhere, even though, yeah, he's on a team full of all-stars, blah, blah, blah. Like he'll have pressure on him too, though. He still came in as a giant signing that they're expecting to produce. So it's not like he went to some like low, pressure situation, in my opinion. It's a different kind of pressure, but there's still going to be pressure there if he doesn't perform. We've seen how kind Dodgers fans can be on social media.
Yeah. All right, well, we can talk a little bit more about the return. Um, I guess one more thing first about the Brewers side of it. The whole Tobias Myers things like we touched on. There was a lot of people saying like I'm fine with the deal besides throwing in Tobias Myers. Like I think we said this too. There's a good chance he was getting DFA this year. He's a good pitcher, like you said, called major league pitcher for sure. But the fact that people were like, a lot of people seem more upset about Myers than Freddie. I'm like, if that was what took this deal to get over the hump, who cares?
And I
Like,
mean, if you consider like they were obviously looking for a major league ready starter slash swingman. At this point
hmm
between him and Chad Patrick, I don't know about guarantee you Chad Patrick's going to be the better major leaguer, but I'm just as happy having Chad Patrick and he has less service time. Henderson, different different profile, but higher ceiling probably. And then after that, I mean, I don't know who even fits that narrative. So if that's what it took, that's what it took. And if we don't win the World Series because we just traded Tobias Myers, then we're a whole lot better than I thought we were. Or he's a whole lot better than I thought he was, or both. So, yeah, I don't know. It seems like, again, people love to complain and show how stupid they are sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say some earlier, but we moved on. It was Tobias Myers was essentially in Murph's doghouse last year.
Yeah. Well, he
Like,
like said he
do
wanted
we
to be
forget
traded
that?
basically. He like
Yeah.
tweeted about it or something. No,
So, I
yeah.
mean, I figured this was coming in some sort of whether it was a DFA or he wasn't a huge part after his huge game through or NLCS or NL wildcard game three start in 2024. I figured he was going to be a huge part of the Brewers season in 25. He wasn't, ended up getting sent down. It wasn't because he was pitching horribly. I think there was some rift there between him and maybe the coaching staff or Murph or something was going on. I don't know for sure, but it kind of just seemed like he was in Murph's doghouse. So if anybody was gonna go, I figured it would have been him. I mean, everybody else is Murph's best friend. So when you hear one guy, have a rift, you assume that he's going to be on his way out pretty soon. It seems like a pretty tight knit group there, and it's just an odd thing to hear when we never hear that about this team. So I'm not surprised at all.
Just want to talk a little bit about the return and where the prospects list for the Brewers stands now. So, um, Jett Williams, like you mentioned, 22 years old, first round pick in 2022. um, has not debuted yet, but he has seen AAA briefly, so you imagine you probably see him pretty soon. Slots in a number three on the Brewers' top prospects list, so better than everyone besides the two freaks that they had in Jesus Mate and Luis Pena, the two that seemingly have moved together almost all along and have dominated at every level. So those two obviously are the top two in the franchise prospect list, but Jett Williams slots in right after them, above Cooper Pratt and Jefferson Carroll, and then at number six, Brandon Sproat, 2023 second round pick in the Mets, pitched at Florida, pitched in the College World Series. I did post a highlight of him painting 101 on the corner. Sounds like he topped at 100.5 last year, so we'll see what the velo looks like if he is a starter. But in an already stacked farm system, they slot in at 3 and 6 for us. Um, and number one for us is arguably number one in baseball. Um, Also, just keep going down that list. Logan Henderson, who showed flashes in the major leagues last year. Right after that is Andrew Fisher, who was Brewers comp pick last year. Or no, he was our first rounder last year out of Tennessee. He was just ranked the number one third base prospect in baseball. So you got in that top eight a couple of freaks at every level, on top of Jett Williams, who plays middle infielder and center field, on top of Cooper Pratt, who's one of the best shortstop prospects, on top of Jefferson Carroll, who was at one point at least one of the top catching prospects, and now Andrew Fisher on top of that is the number one third base prospect. So kind of crazy, and not to mention, also you have Luke Adams, Brock Wilkin, other third baseman listed right below him too. So I'm not saying all those guys will factor in, but it's just a lot of depth in the minor league, especially in the infield now. So pretty cool.
I'm just gonna rapid fire quick a little bit about both the prospects from what I've seen and just dug around in some of their numbers. But Sprout, like you said, has hit the triple digits, but his sinker sat about 96 in AAA last year as a starter. It was a good pitch for him throughout the year, and then when he came up into the big leagues towards the end of the year for the Mets, he moved away from his four seam. It's not a ton of movement. Um, Throws a pretty nice, I believe it's his sweeper is what it's on or profiled as, but like a nice curve of sorts. And then he threw a tighter slider that I've already heard some people start talking about how that slider might turn into a cutter, which I would not be surprised to see. And also threw a changeup with mixed results, but he's got a pretty deep arsenal and induced a good amount of ground balls so far in his at least minor league career. So profile stacks up with what we like. His FIP was under his ERA in his AAA season as well. So good stuff. And then Jett, I think you talked about it, but just like a plus athlete. Whether he ends up playing short, second, or center, it seems like at least athletically he's capable of any of those, and might be more of a see how it fits our needs. And I'm not totally sure on how strong his arm is, but if he's playing short and center, got to be pretty good. And then I guess don't let the 5'7" stature fool you. Obviously, I'm not saying he's Prince Fielder, but he did have 17 home runs last year, seven triples and 34 steals across Double A and Triple A, and profiles to have a little bit of a better power tool relative to his hit tool, but gets on base at a decent enough clip that I don't think that'll necessarily be an issue. But his speed and just athleticism slash fielding, I think, lend to him being a pretty useful player and fits what the Brewers like to a T. So both those guys, obviously, we like them, and so does prospect rankings. And like you were saying, Scoop, they slotted. Well, I think for was it ESPN's like ranking was the one where we moved from like sixth to first or something for strongest
Baseball
farm
America, I
or
think.
Baseball America. Yeah, so
Yeah.
good to see, and yeah, both guys are closer to debuts than further.
This is unrelated, but I just thought of it that I wanted to mention too. The whole like spending money thing with the Brewers, they went out and they did this when they had a little bit of money and they got Rhys Hoskins. Thought it was like slam dunk. We finally got our first base answer, and then he got benched for like Jake Bowers didn't even make the playoff roster. So it's like sometimes just slapping a $20 million a year on someone isn't always the answer. I don't know. That was just another thing I thought of that I forgot to mention before. That was just funny to me. Like I want them to take swings like that. And unfortunately they're not going to. I wish they would take another swing on a guy something along those like a third baseman that made a lot of sense. But, times like
Speaking of swings, though, now we not that we made the move to save $8 million, but we did open up $8 million in payroll. We opened two 40-man spots. I'm not sure if at least one of those are going to be accounted for by someone who's not yet on the 40, but it'll have to be soon. But either way, technically there's a little bit of space and we have a little bit more money. Plus, maybe we were going to spend a little bit anyways. Is there anyone left on the market? I'm not going to try to act like we can imagine a trade because that's always hard. But is there any free agents? Obviously, we have a limited budget and the market's not premier class anyways, but is there anyone out there you guys have your eye on at all?
I gave up
uh
on the Brewers
I
signing
was gonna
anybody
say
in September.
Well, it doesn't have to be anyone good, but last year they signed Quintana and he ended up being a useful tool. I think we've talked about Montgomery
we
on a bounce
do
back.
we
I
do
don't
need
know what
a
he's going to go for, but that'd be interesting to me.
I
we
thought we
do
were
need a
talking about
backup catcher.
position players.
Just anyone.
I would say Quintana coming back would be like the only guy that I think has a high chance of happening. And then I saw somebody did mention Montgomery on like a 1 year prove it. So those are the two that I think would make the most sense. I think on the position player side, they're done, and then there's probably going to be a couple non-invitee or a non-roster invitee to spring training, like Scoop said, a backup catcher. I mean, I feel like we have some random
Jonah Heim's out there.
That's
no
what I
rest. Jonah
that's
Heim,
what
I
I
feel like
want to say,
is
but
waiting for somebody to get hurt. That just seems like one of those things where he'll slide himself into a situation with a non-roster, but it's almost
Mitch
like
Garver did a
guaranteed
decent
that
amount
he'll
of
make it.
Yeah, Mitch Garver did a decent amount of catching last year, but he hasn't hit since he signed his bigger deal with the Mariners. But there's not a lot out there, so I get that. I was gonna say like Ramon Urias or Miguel Andujar was pretty good last year, but he's not a good defender. But he did hit well. I don't know what he'll go for it, but he's the kind of guy maybe that trickles through. No one pays him. Brewers go probably a little below what he's worth, and he signs for a year. But we'll see. Luis
Luis
Rengifo,
Arias,
no Rengifo, and then the one other move that I think won't happen, but maybe is Max Kepler suspended for some PEDs, but maybe that means we could get him for like nothing and let him sit out half the year and have him come in the second half, and that would be, I think, better than nothing. He's a proven big leaguer. He can defend. He's got some pop. I don't think it'll happen, but and then there's a lot of relievers out there, and that's not a need for us, but I'm sure we'll bring in maybe someone depending on a guy trickles through, doesn't get signed, and we can pay him for pennies on the dollar as spring heats up. But I agree. There's not an obvious like we need this guy, but probably a vet starter, I guess.
yeah, like I said, Jonah Heim would have been my answer. But then, Cole, I think you said you looked into his defense. Actually, it wasn't great, and we're probably unlikely to sign a
Yeah, but he
backup
can
catcher.
hit, and we
and we
Yeah,
signed
can
no,
Gio
fix
but
that.
Sanchez, so who
We've been
cares?
proven to fix guys who can't really be that great defensively
yeah, but
into
I just
decent.
don't
Walker
know if he'll be as
McKibben's
cheap as
gone.
I want him to be. Like Jonah Heim's actually like I know he wasn't great last year, but he's one of the I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the only answer for me, honestly, because it feels like we may not have the top end talent of some of these rich teams, but it feels like we have some depth that we're at least going to trust to start the year pretty much everywhere other than catcher. So, I guess first base, maybe, maybe that's the one question mark. But
Well,
everywhere.
between Vaughn and Bauer, I don't
No,
know.
I mean I agree. I think between Vaughn and Bowers, we probably start the season there. But it would there have been question marks coming up about Bowers and or do you trade Andrew Vaughn now? That was the only thing. Everywhere else, I feel like we're kind of set for the year in the field. I don't know.
Yeah,
Completely unrelated, but I have to get this in at some point. It's before it gets too weird.
Hey yo.
You said you said something about Kepler earlier. I would love him That's a really good mark, even though with the PEDs or whatever. But back when the Brewers opened up their home opener against the Twins, I think it was 2024 or three. I drunkenly bullied the shit out of him
Oh, he
when he was in right field. It was Jackson Trio's debut, so it had to have been 2024. And I bullied the shit out of him, front row, section 202, and he was not a fan of mine. So I don't know if
great. Now he's
that's a
not coming here.
stain.
Thanks, Kian.
Can you
Yeah,
apologize,
me and a
Ian?
couple of my buddies were just giving him the fucking business.
Can you just quick apologize?
Whoa, Kian.
Not sexually, ew.
Max Kepler, es tut mir leid from Kian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was but I figured I'd get that in there in a dark podcast. Might as well give some fun things.
Yeah, I just figured next time we talk will probably be start of spring and some roster decisions and talk. So
Yeah. Next time we talk, start of spring as it's a negative 35 wind chill right now
yeah,
Not in
outside.
Phoenix, not at American Family Fields of Phoenix, man. It's probably warm as fuck there.
Maryvale.
Yeah, I miss that. I miss the old Maryvale.
All right, well,
Did he just leave?
it says I am the host now.
He's just gone.
You are the cap. You got anything to say? He'll be a mystery for the last minute. His
No,
laptop died, he says.
that's hilarious.
Man,
But I guess to put a wrap on it all, um, the Freddie trade was a good thing for the Brewers. As a fan, you have the right to be upset about it, but understand that it was the right move.
yeah,
It sucks to see a franchise favorite go, but it had to happen. So I feel bad for him. He'll thrive in New York, but when
yep,
he comes back, pack the fucking house, give him a standing O. You know the vibe.
yep. One more short king in this Brewers team too.
Oh my
I like
God,
our
yeah.
vibe. Gritty vibe.
Yeah.
All right, we gone.
Go Crew.